Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's organizing video. We are going to continue on the topic of the pantry. And I'm going to show you some pantries here that I have organized and walk you through the setup and how you can do the same thing. Okay, so with this pantry here, this one was a little bit different than what I'm used to working with because typically I go in there and take a look at everything that they have first and then organize it kind of backwards, taking everything out and that sort of thing. But this particular pantry, this was a new house that this client was moving into. So I was able to get the dimensions of it before they got in there and have a setup basically ready to go once they moved in. So the two things that I always take into really consideration when trying to figure out what to put in there is obviously the dimensions. Number one, foremost, you got to make sure everything's going to fit. Number two, the budget. So this budget was at $100 and these bins were on sale at the time for like $4.79, I believe. So it came out to $36 to put these bins in there to keep them neatly organized. So now the setup of what I did there from each row. So the second row is where basically the most frequently used items are going to go. And that is for the snacks for the kids. Now they have 2 toddler boys and triplet baby girls. Yes, you heard that correctly. So I wanted to make sure that the snacks were not in reach, but they were frequently being able to access them. And then one dedicated to the baby bin as well, because they wanted to keep everything separate, knew where to go in case sitters came, that sort of thing. The top shelf is where we had the treats. We wanted to make sure those were clear out of reach up there so they couldn't get them. Then the breakfast and cracker bins. And then down at the bottom were another snack bin, pasta, and broth. Now, typically I try to keep the categories very, very broad. So normally I wouldn't label broth, but that's something they use very frequently. So super simple setups that anyone can do by putting these bins in there and putting labels on so everyone in the household can find what they need. Okay, so for this pantry had a budget of $200 to $300. And I had a before picture sent to me of this pantry. So I was able to create a setup of what was needed based on the dimensions that were sent to me as well. So that when I got there, I was able to take it all out, organize the pantry all in one shot because we had showed up with the product. So basically what I did was I started with the clear bins and worked from there, because the clear bins I recommend for basically any pantry, because a lot of people have individually wrapped items, whether it's snacks for kids or cereal bars, protein bars, things of that nature that you can see how much is left, and they're prettier when they're not in their boxes because they all match. And as crazy as some matching is what makes our brains happy. It's like, oh, it's pretty. It's like the rainbows, everyone's like, oh, rainbow's pretty. That's what makes it pretty. So I started with the clear bins and worked from there. And then, so you can see the white bins down below and then the wicker bins, the water hyacinth bins. I like those because they just add a little warmth element to basically any space, whether it is a pantry or a bathroom. And then from there, moved the cans onto a 3-tier shelf so you had a better visual shot of it. So I did the white one because it tied in with the white bins. And then the black wire bins, I used those because we were doing black labels. So everything tied in together. And then up at top, you can see there are the turntables. Turntables are amazing. They're great for items that are hard to reach, good for round bottles. And so I chose the larger size ones and also the one that had the black and white component to it because it ties everything together. So that is how this entire pantry was constructed based on the budget and dimensions, and it's still working out very, very well for them. Okay, so this was a really fun pantry to design because I was able to create a customized design for this one. So you can see the white shelves that are in there. That was not there before. And basically with this pantry, they had a alpha stacking drawer, that unit that was just basically sitting in there, and then had actually, those wire bins right there. They were stacked on top of one another. And this pantry needed shelves. So this is a very unique custom designed pantry that I worked with the Container Store to put together. So we knew we needed shelving from there. So once that system, we got that installed, and then I knew that they already had those 4 wire bins, which is I knew I was planning to put on that shelf in the first place. And then from there, it was really just getting a few other bins that would tie in nicely with the design element. So went with the clear bins as well for the snacks up top, which is a turntable. They buy a lot of cereal bars, and that's where all of those went. So it was easy to store those in there and easy to get just on a quick turn. And then below that, more individually wrapped snacks. As you can tell, similar from the last pantry, the clear bin strategy still moving forward here on this one. With this particular bin, I actually used one that has a removable divider because they had a couple snacks as well that could lay flat back there. And then she said that they frequently change things out. So that divider allows them a little bit more flexibility if they need more space for different needs. And then again, the water hyacinth bins right there, and then added the white bin clip labels because the shelving was white. So that's kind of where we tied all of it in. And then we moved the spices to the door to maximize the space because it's a small pantry and we wanted them to be able to get a better visual of all those spices right in front of them. Okay, so here on this pantry, the biggest issue here was on the right side because there's these deep shelves there and it just wasn't functioning well for them. And I know that is a common issue for a lot of people because I see it a lot in Facebook groups and messages that are sent to me on how do I organize a pantry that has deep shelves. Don't worry, there's a solution. It's these deep drawer bins from iDesign. And they are 16 inches deep. Now, I know a lot of shelving goes deeper than that, but these will be an absolute game changer for you because you're going to make them act like rolling shelves, essentially, which is what the left side of this pantry has, is those great rolling shelves that come out. On the right side, that's basically where we kind of mimicked it with the deep drawer bin. So they have the handles there and you're just basically pulling out that particular bin to get what you need and then putting it back. You're not having to go through the shuffle to get whatever you need. So for the right hand side, that's essentially what we did, basically almost from the top down to the bottom, with exception to the turntables that were added there, which also work great for the deep shelves because for the condiment and baking items there, it's easier to get what you need rather than having to pull out a shelf. Because if you're pulling out a bin with all those items in it, it's going to get very clunky and loud. And that's why those turntables were added for those items. And you can just basically turn to get what you need. We were able to fit 2 in there. So ones that weren't as frequently used, those items were put towards the back. And then we just did a combination of different sizes. Going on the way down, we did the medium-sized bins for those 3 shelves, and then all the way at the bottom did the large and the small one. And then from there, it was really just about getting a couple clear bins for some items that they could see better and maximize the space that was available to them, and adding again another turntable on the other side for frequently used breakfast items. So I hope this pantry video has given you a bit of inspiration and insight on how you can get your pantry organized. Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on social at Organized Marie.